Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Speak the Truth in Love Ministry with Miss Veronica Mirembe Benedictio. And it is a beautiful weekend. And in this edition, I want to share something in regard to marriage and the generation. Just like I have been doing different videos on different topics, today I really think I want to talk about marriage and the generation, most especially in regard to the young adults and what is ongoing, because I believe we also learn to also educate others. First of all, thank you very much for those who are subscribing. Just like I keep telling people, this is not a channel about popularity. Eno channel si abantu kukujagala, but it is that one person I help every day. And I think you can see I only have 10 subscribers, but I'm going to 60 videos. Because at the end of the day, I just look for that one soul that I can help daily. So today, let me begin our topic, marriage and the generation. Oba mu Luganda nchiyite obufumbo n'omulembe gwaffe. One, just like I continually speak to myself, we are a generation where we prepare for a wedding and not marriage. Tuli mulembe abantu abasinga tuwetegekera mbaga so si bufumbo. And just like I tell myself or tell people, a wedding is a one day of excitement where we come as families, as friends, buli omu n'atambula n'agenda. But marriage is a lifelong covenant. Obufumbo, it's a covenant you are making with your spouse and God. And at the end of the day, oba choyingidde tokitegedde nga we think it's all about excitement. Kyetuva tulaba tuli mu generation abantu tulina bugumiikiriza mu bufumbo. We have like kuba kyetuyingiramu tetukitegeera. We are a generation where we concentrate more on showbiz. No, we like tuli mulembe tukola emikolo kweraga. We are proving a point to the world, but at our own expense. Nga wengambye, marriage is a covenant and a wedding is a one day thing. Embaga luba lunaku lumu naye obufumbo erindagaano yonna Katonda. Naye abamu kuffe kuba tetugedde mazima gano kyova olaba mu myezi 3 biba bikutamye kuba kyoyingiddemu tokitegeera. Tuli mulembe, we do things to prove a point to the world, naye we do not understand what we are entering in. Kyova olaba embaga n'emikolo mingi nnyo mulembe gwaffe, naye rate ya divorce n'okwawukana eri very high because abasinga kyetuyingiramu tetukitegeera. There is something I speak to myself. Bwe tutunuulira emirembe gy'edda egy'abajjajjaffe bakyali mu bufumbo, naye ku mbaga zaabwe banywanga chaayi n'erindaazi ne baddayo ewaka. Naye ffe abali mu by'okweraga tetufumba because we are doing things to prove a point to the world at our own expense. Nedda mulimu ebintu by'otunuulira nenze ye essaala yange. Kubanga w'okola ekintu ekiri in your means nga togenda kweragira ku bantu tewali agenda kuŋŋamba nti nakwadde contribution n'ondisa chaayi n'ekindaazi. But we are a generation where we are doing things of showbiz. Tuli mu bintu bya kweraga kyova olaba tebibeeramu na mukisa. Nedda nina ekintu kyeŋŋamba abantu banange kye neegamba. Tewali aliyagala kumanya oba embaga yo yali ya bukadde bumeka oba ebyo bikwata ku ggwe na mwami wo. Oba oyambala mpeta ya $5,000,000 nyinza okuba nyambala empeta ya $1,000,000 but I am happy in my marriage. Nga gwe ayambala ya $5,000,000 twalina ssanyu mu bufumbo. So there are certain things as a generation I like to enlighten about and also educate myself because we are doing things at the expense of our own, like at our own expense. Nedda kambuuze, ani aliyagala okumanya nti Gomez gye wayambala kwanjula ali ya $1,000,000 meka? Ebyo bikwata ku ggwe na mwami wo. Kati kyoyingiddemu oba tokitegeera. Kyova olaba we are a disturbed generation. We are so disturbed, we are so wounded because we are doing things to prove a point to the world, but we have not known certain truths about marriage, and it is why we are so disturbed as a generation. We are doing things to prove a point to the world at our own expense. And these are the things I enlighten young adults, I enlighten myself because I've gotten to learn certain truths. Marriage is a covenant. But we are in a generation, n'endagaano bazimenya naye kyoyingiramu okitegeera. abasinga ffe abeegatta katonda si yatugatta. We are a generation where I want to prove a point to the world. I also have a metal on my finger. Nyambala empeta nenga nebyoyiri neda netusanga omwana omuwala tasobola kufumba mmere, tasobola kwerabirira nenga ayagala bufumbo. You know, I'm telling us and I'm telling myself, because at the end of the day, we are doing things at the expense of pleasing the world at our own expense. Yes, it is true. Even we hear these messages on wedding days. Marriage is not a bed of roses, you know. But marriage is also what we make it, you know. No, because we have also, we are seeing people who are living in happy marriages where we can pick a leaf. We are told how marriage is hard. It is hard, but how come some other people in their marriages are successful and others are saying tebidiyo? You know, because we are a generation where our mindsets olusi tuyingira ekintu nga tetukitegeera. You know, no, I tell people, I tell myself, a wedding is a one-day thing and everyone walks away. And it is the two of you to start your journey. Kati woba choyingiddemu tokitegeera, chovala myezi 3 bya bikutamye. You know, because you have gone to prove a point to the world at your own expense. You know, and that is the generation we are in. That is why we are so disturbed. You know, because at times we have not known certain truths about marriage. We have not known certain truths as we are entering things. You know, and it is why you see we are so disturbed. Buli omu n'atuukayo myezi 3 nze bintamye kubanga kyoyingiddemu. No, I'm telling people and I'm telling myself. A wedding is a one day excitement. Buli omu ajja kujja asanyuke n'osanga abantu bagenze mu mabanja. Service provider akube simu zino teziweddeeyo naye nga mubadde mu kusanyusa abantu, buli omu atambudde agenze. Ne mutandika olugendo lwammwe mu mabanja, omuntu atunze ettaka mukola decoration. I'm telling you, and that is why we are so disturbed. You know, because we are proving a point to the world at our own expense as a generation. Nomuva mu mbaga muli mu mabanja naye nga mbadde mu kusanyusa abantu, jukira buli omu abasiibudde agenze, kati stress n'atandikiraawo. Kuba kyoyingiddemu obadde kweragira ku bantu abatayagala na kumanya. Reality sets in, you've begun a home. Omwami n'aboggola nze nzirayo waffe, omukyala kwa tetulina bugumi, kyoyingiddemu tokitegeera. You know, and that is the generation. We are not patient as a generation. We have not learned certain truths into obufumbo mpisa, obufumbo bugumiikiriza. And it is why we are so disturbed as a generation. Because whatever we go in, we do not know certain truths. And these are the things I'm sharing in one of my books, Why Modern Marriages Fail. You know, no, I am attacked by so many people. Bichi byoyogera byotategeera toli mufumbo. Naye omwoyo omutukuvu akuwa amagezi. I counsel married people, and it is why I use all this knowledge to share such things in such a simple book. You know, and those who are like benefiting from it are thanking me. Because at the end of the day ngamba abantu bine ebintu si bya buli omu. Nedda nina ekintu kyembuuza abantu. Bamakanika buli makanika akanika emmotoka abayina emmotoka naye waki asobola okukanika emmotoka. Bafather waki babuulirira abantu abafumbo nga tebalina bakyala. Kati we have to know there are certain things. And it is why I tell people who silence me, at the end of the day, I won't be quiet when I can also see, I can also read, and I'm enlightened about information that I can share with the public because I am an educator. I read to also give back. You know, we are a generation where we do things to prove a point to the world at our own expense. Chovola abantu tetulina mirembe. Tewali ayagala kumanya oba gawuni yo yali ya ssente mmeka. Kambabuulire ebyo bikwata ku ggwe na mwami wo. Chovola bakyoyingiddemu oba oyingidde kusanyusa nsi. Ogenda ebivaamu bibeera ebyo. Depression, anxiety. No, I'm telling you, even you find ladies, nze njagala genda mu family ngagga twakowa bizibu family. Oyagala family ngagga naye ogenda kuma otyo obugagga bwa family eyo gwe nga toyagala kukola ng'omukyala. Kubanga oyagala musajja mugagga. Ne wana kutwala nga mugagga nga tosobola kukola. Tojja kuma bugagga bwe. Bagwe kyomanyi kubeera ku simu yo, kubeera ku laptop, kubeera ku TV, and that is the generation. You know? Because we have not known certain truths, and it is why we are so disturbed. Nedda nosanga nze saagala babizibu family, nako wa bizibu family. kituufu wakowa bizibu family naye ne woonayingira mu ngagga nga tosobola kukola mujja bitunda butunzi because toyagala kukola. And that is the enlightenment I'm giving about marriage and the generation. You know, there are things I speak to myself. Our first ministry is known to pray for marriage. Naye kubala bibala. Let us grow in patience, in self-control, in kindness, in humility. Kubanga nga wetugamba embaga luba lunaku lumu. Buli omu n'abasibula n'agenda reality sets in. Obaze ebibala ebyo omwoyo. Are you patient? Are you kind? Are you humble? You know? Have you mastered that speaking to your spouse to your spouse in a tone that is respectful is very important? You know? Have we mastered certain truths? Have you known that as a lady I have gone, these are my responsibilities. As a man I have gone, these are my responsibilities. You know, but we are in a generation where we are so disturbed because we do not know certain truths about marriage. We are so excited about marriage and it is why we are so disturbed. Nedda bino ebintu nange mbyegamba kubanga nange nabibeeramu. We are nosanga omukyala, they want a very lavish wedding, but they can hardly look after a man. They can hardly cook food for a man. Omwami amusibya mu KFC. Naye ng'embaga gye yamuteekamu kyova olaba osanga abaana abalenzi nga bali mu depression. No, I'm telling you, you find a lady n'akugamba nze omusajja nali simwagala nali njagala bwagazi mbaga nange ensemanye nti bankola ki bankuba embaga naye ng'ozannyidde ku mwana wa munno naye nga naawe ojja kuzaala owuwo because for you all you wanted was a wedding n'akulaga yaddayo ewaabwe. Kati why am I sharing this? It is because we have known certain truths. We have not known certain truths. There are things I speak to myself. When we listen to obuyimba obwo bwaba Silver Kyagulanyi bwe bayimbanga edda abakyala abalina empisa tebalemu amaka. Those are the messages we need in our generation. Naye tutuula ku mikolo n'ennyimba ze bakuba tetuzitegeera. Bakuba biyimba tebirimu n'amakulu. Okiraba? Kati mulimu I'm telling you there are things we have to learn. You know? Obufumbo mpisa. Marriage is about character. A beautiful face, a beautiful figure may get you a man, but it is character that keeps a man. You know? It is a respectful character. No, there is something I read about and I also enlighten people. No, ladies, respect to a man is equally important as intimacy. Because no man wants a woman who lowers their ego. You know, there are things I share because you are reading and you are enlightened. You know, obufumbo mpisa, because at the end of the day, akabina kagwako, naye ng'empisa ze zigenda okuuma omwami, bannanga abaana abawala tubale ebibala. There are things we have to learn about. No, we live in a generation. No sanga omukyala ewaka ayita mwami w'embizi amuyita mbwa before they are kids. You know? So there are certain things why people are fighting and we have no solutions because we have not known certain truths. You know? We have not known truths. No, there are things I read and they enlighten me and I really believe I can enlighten others. You know? Marriage is about men want a respectful wife. That is a first need even before intimacy. Every man wants a respectful wife. You know, but we are a generation lwakuba omukyala asinza omwami ssente, they lower their ego and that is not of God. You know, a respectful character, a submissive character, a hardworking character. There are certain things we have to learn and these are things I share in my book. You know, there are things we take for granted but they are ruining the whole generation. However beautiful you may be, but you are very disrespectful to a man. No man wants to live in a house with a beautiful woman who does not respect her. You know, no man wants to live in a house with a beautiful woman who cannot cook her food, his food, because you think you are beautiful. And these are the things I share in my book because I counsel ladies, I counsel married people, and we are seeing whatever disturbs so many people. It is because people do not know certain truths. N'osanga omukyala asiba mutundu asaba naye ng'ekimutawanya butasonyiwa. You know, You have opened doors in your marriage, how you are praying and fasting. You have left your husband at home. Anti wanyiga nnyo. And those are the things that are disturbing the entire generation because we do not know certain truths. No, there are things you are reading about and I'm also learning. Marriage is known for the bad-tempered, for the easily angered, for the unforgiving. Marriage is known for the unforgiving, the bad-tempered, the easily angered. Marriage is about sacrifice. Where you not ogenda kusanga malaika buli omwa newona munonya wataliyo chovola bane wetuzunga nodduka mbuno obufumbo na buno buli omwa abeera n'ebibye wa Bible egamba tewali atuukiridde. You know, it is why however much you run to this one and this one, everyone has their flaws. So knowing certain truths, where the Bible says bear each other's weaknesses, that is what marriage is about. It is covering each other's weaknesses. But most people are in marriages and they are concentrating on people's weaknesses, and it is why they have no peace in their marriages. Because we do not know that God brings two imperfect people in a covenant to bear each other's weaknesses. No, there are things you read and you see this is truth. There is nothing called a perfect marriage or a perfect spouse. People work out their marriages. You know, the way people handle issues in their marriages, it's what makes the difference. Engeri amantu gye bahandlingamu ebintu mu bufumbo yereetawo enjawulo. There are things you read in the Bible, also Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1. It says, a gentle answer turns away wrath. But a rude answer brings wrath, brings anger. Nti okuddamu negonjebwa kukakanya obusungu. Kati ebintu ng'ebyo nyinza okuba siri mufumbo newe mbambiyize. Omwami agenda kubuuza sokisi zange ziriwa nzazitereka. No relating a Bible kyekugamba. A gentle answer turns away anger. Ochiraba, and you realize at times people have no peace in their marriages because of the tones they use, and that is why they have no peace in their marriages. Omukyala nakoma walidde mmere nagiriddewa. You know, and it is why you see people have no peace, because when we get to learn such things that a gentle answer turns away wrath. You know, okuddamu negonjebwa kijjawo obusungu. There are things we have to learn about. There are things I'm learning about because these things are so biblical. No soma Bible Sulemani nayogera mu Proverbs omukyala ayomba. You have no peace in your home because you're a very quarrelsome wife. Omusajja buli wabeere waka oyomba talina mirembe kyovola batandika kudduka adduka mu bbaala adduka mu mikwano gye adduka you do not have, and these things are so biblical because Solomon, the richest king, you know, he says better to live on a rooftop than living in a house with a quarrelsome wife. Nakugamba nti waakiri obeera akasolya k'ennyumba than okubeera mu maka ng'omukazi buli ssaawa ayombayomba nga ebyo bitawanyi obufumbo oli muyombi. Nedda bino ebintu mbyogerako kubanga nange nabirimu kati nange amazima ngategedde. Now the reason you have no peace in your home is because you are so quarrelsome as a lady. You are always concentrating on your husband's weaknesses but you don't see his strengths. And it is why knowing certain truths that none of us is perfect. No, we live in a generation where you find a man or a woman is concentrating on a wife's weaknesses or strength, and it is why there is no peace in the marriage. You as a woman who is concentrating on your spouse's weaknesses, don't you also have your weaknesses? So there are things I'm also learning. If you are not perfect, it is the reason we should not concentrate on weaknesses in marriage, because it is why God brings two imperfect people in a marital covenant to cover each other. You know? Kuba Mukama amanyi bamalayika tebaliiyo. Buli omu abeera n'embala ye. Kuba bulijjo odduka wabeerayo ebizibu byayo. Ojja kuddukako ono muyombi ogende koolinga mukyafu. Ojja kuddukako ono buli omu abeera n'ebizibu bye. Ojja kuddukako ono talabirira baana ogende kooli. No, I'm telling you, there are things we have to know. Each of us has our weaknesses. And it is why you read and you are told there is no perfect marriage or perfect partner or perfect spouse, but people work out their marriages because they have known certain truths. You know? Tuwuliriza obuyimba, I think it is Justin Nantume. Kino kyoyingiddemu kiringa kiyungu ogenze kufumba. You know? But we are a generation. Omanyi yakoze kino ng'otambula. Because we have not known. Inti mukama wacha kufunidde omuntu ono. You are two different people with different personalities and temperaments and different backgrounds. The reason he puts you together is to complement each other. He knows your weaknesses are his strength and your strength are his weaknesses. But most of us only concentrate on their weaknesses, and that's why we have no peace in our marriages. No, it is why you see God brings two people from different backgrounds, with different temperaments, personalities. Buli omu yakulira wuwe. Ojja genda ofuna omwami ye yakula ewaabwe balya kyanca. Gwe wakula ewammwe mulya mugati na butter. Kati, it is why you see you have to cover each other, because you have come from different backgrounds. No, there are things we have to know. You are not going to find a person with 100% of your list. Kyova olaba ekinana kyotasanzeeyo kigumire. Kubanga biri byonna mutasobola kubeera nabyo byosabirira. And it is why we are told marriage is for covering each other's weaknesses. Why togenda musangayo nga list yonna gina 100%. Kyetuva tulina okumanya byatayina. It is the reason ekikututteyo. Do not concentrate on their weaknesses, because you are neither perfect. But we are a generation because we have not known certain truths. And it is why you see we are so disturbed. Nedaze nina ekintu kye ngamba nera yessaala yange. Njagala nkola embaga nga tugenda kulya chindazi ne chai nenga kyennyingiddemu nkimanyi. Waakiri oli nsekerera n'onfuula emboozi nenga kyennyingiddemu nkimanyi. Because that is what marriage is about. It is not about showbiz. It is about glorifying God. It is not proving a point to anyone in this world. Because it is a covenant between you, your spouse, and God. Marriage is a covenant. But most of us, we are in a generation where we take marriage as a contract. A covenant says, even if what I find in Chagala, I have to stay. That is a covenant. But contract egamba, when bakyensanze sikyagala ngenda kutambula. Ate abasinga bwe bw'obufumbo tuli mu contract. N'engeri ebeera ndagaano. Marriage is a covenant. A covenant says even if what you find is not good or bad, it is a covenant. You have to endure. But a contract says, if what I find does not work for me, I do not agree with the terms, I will walk away. And that is a generation. We are entering marriage as a contract and not a covenant. And it is why you see we are so disturbed as a generation. We have not known certain truths about marriage. No, let me repeat this and let me speak to myself. A beautiful face, a beautiful figure, a brown skin, it will get you a man. But it is character that keeps a man. Because at the end of the day, marriage is not about daily happiness. It is not about roses and flowers. It is not about only daily excitement. But there will be mundane days. There will be unhappy days. No, there is no marriage that is 100% happy. Teddy, yo. Every marriage goes through a shaking because we are human. Kati omuntu w'obeera nti nayombye n'omwami wange ebyo bibeera buli wamu. Kyovala buli w'olalaasa omwami wo, you are only opening doors for your marriage. Because buli omu alina by'ayitamu. Nedda Bible tugamba mu Proverbs chapter 14 verse 1. It says omukyala omugezigezi akuuma ennyumba ye naye omusirusiru agimenya n'emikono gye. It says a wise woman builds her house, but the foolish one breaks it with her own hands. At times we are breaking our own marriages, but we hardly know because we have not known certain truths. We have not known certain truths and we are breaking our own marriages because we think it is better somewhere. You are taking your marital issues in people, in pastors. Chovala ova mu church, pastor n'akwanika. Oyo mulaba, ye naye yalinga ano marriage counseling ngamba ebintu. N'akwanika mu kanisa namba. Because we have not known certain truths about marriage. And it is why I'm speaking to myself, I'm sharing in this audio. Let us try to know certain truths about marriage. It is why the Spirit has led me to write such a book, Why Modern Marriages Fail. Because I may not be married, but I have something I'm learning. You know, and this not nena chenchengenda nengamba abantu. Watch to get ngasobolo genda nensoma journalism ne applying skills. Watch byensoma ku marriage, abantu bangamba tukulinze. Why don't you think I can apply what I'm reading when I get married? No, how come we can go and you do a whole PhD in law? But when it comes to reading, how come tukulinze? You know, smayo biwandika mu theory. Can't I apply my theory into practical because I have gotten knowledge? And we are told knowledge is power. Omuzungu agamba ignorance is no excuse of the law. Obutamanya tekikujjaako musango. Kati mulimu ebintu obirabye abantu babiyitamu kati goba ofunye knowledge. Amagezi ago gakozese gakufuula ow'eddembe. You know? Because there are things I speak to myself. Had I entered marriage at the age of 25, 26, which was my desire, I will be out by now. Byandibadde byantamatamada. Naye amagezi, the enlightenment, the wisdom I have gotten is enough for me to keep a home, to keep marriage, whatever age I get married. Because I have gotten certain truths about marriage that I didn't know. And it is why I'm speaking to the young singles, the young adults who are in that stage. Being single is not a curse. It is a season of preparation, a season of being molded. But we live in a community, we live in society where we are told because you are single or in ekizibu. And it is why you see nobera ku pressure because you have not known. Eno season je tuli mu Katonda alina kyakuyigiriza. Kola kumbalayo, bala ebibala. Because our first institute is not a man, but it is working on our character. Ogende mu bufumbo ng'ebintu bino obitegedde nga you are mature enough to handle marriage, to stay with a spouse because you have known certain truths about marriage. And it is why I'm encouraging young adults who are not yet married, get this book and read it because it is helping so many people. You know? No, the Bible says in John 8:32, we shall know the truth and the truth shall set us free. Because we are a generation, because we do not know certain truths. Omanyi, I'll only be happy when I get married. I'll only be happy when I get a child. Who tells you happiness is in a man? Who tells you happiness is in a woman? Omanyi, I got married for peace. You will be very disappointed. Because no man is the source of your happiness or peace when you have not learned to be happy and peaceful on your own. Chovola bojjagenda ngo onoonya emirembe mu mwami bikutame. Ozaala omwana bikutame because you think when I get married it is when I'll be happy. When I get a man, when I get children. That is so wrong. Because every season has something attached to it. You will get married, but because you thought your happiness is in a man, and you will be so disturbed. Because happiness is not found in marriage. It is found within. First create your own happiness before you think about a man. You know, no, there are things I share because whatever was called bipolar in my life partly was because anxiety about relationship and marriages. I did not know that discovering who I am, self-awareness, because you are running in relationships because of identity. You want nange njagala kubeera mukyala gundi. We have not known certain truths. You are getting married because you think a man is the source of your happiness, is the source of your identity. Because you had this mind, my identity will be in a ring on my finger. It will be in a man, which is wrong. Because that man you're also running to has his own insecurities, he's battling, he will not tell you. But as women, we make men the source of our happiness. Naye nga tomanyi nti negwogenza okufuula essanyu yo naye ayina ebibye. Jakulidde bamuvuma obumpi, bamuvuma agannyo, bamuvuma ki kati and you're going to get omanyi he did not tell me I'm beautiful, he did not tell me I'm what, because you think a normal human being is going to be the source of your happiness, which is wrong because he also has his weaknesses, he's battling. There are truths we have learned, I have read about marriage that I share that I believe can help someone out there, you know. And because we have known the truth that has set us free. And it is why when the season comes, because you have known certain truths, you will go and enjoy a beautiful marriage, you know. Because nebintu bye negamba tebiriimu birabo. Oba nfumbiddwa ku myaka emeka. And this Mukama kye yantegekera. No one can, the Bible says no one can thwart the plan of God for your life. You know. It doesn't matter oba gwe wazaalira ku myaka emeka. All our journeys are different and for God's glory. And it is why I tell young people, do not allow other people's success and progress make you jealous, because we are all different. All our journeys are different for God's glory and for God's purposes. We all need our time and distance to walk our journeys. And it is the reason you have to be happy where you are, because it is your season. The Bible says times and seasons belong to God. Because oluusi twegomba ebintu bye tutategeera. And it is why, as I'm finishing this audio, let me speak to someone out there. Let us fight hard to prepare for marriage and not a wedding. Just like I have said, a wedding is a one-day thing, but a marriage is a lifetime covenant. Because these are the truths we need to know as a generation, because we are so wounded, we are so disturbed, because we have not known certain truths. Obufumbo bugumiikiriza, bugumiikiriza, because at the end of abantu tulina bugumiikiriza. Buli kankubuulire kanneebuulire. Kubanga amazima getumanya ge gatufuula ab'eddembe. Banange, thank you very much for listening to me. God bless you and have a beautiful weekend. Veronica, peace, blessing. Veronica, Mirembe, Mukisa. Veronica, Mirembe, benediction. Imana aguho omugisa. Imana aguho omugisa. Orakoze cyane cyane.